Kahani 6. When your landlord thinks he's a relay station. Accidentally turned the building AI into a rave ghost. Had to exorcise it with coffee, cables, and cussing. You actually won't believe this, mate. Honestly. You think dealing with exploding fungus or sentient cleaning blobs is the hard part of this job? Nah. It's the little things, innit? The stupid, annoying, inexplicable little things that follow you home like stray space fleas. This time, it's Barry. My building's supposedly reliable, if slightly overbearing, AI management system. He's gone proper weird. Even more peculiar than usual, I'm telling you. It started with my comm crackling at some stupid o'clock. Holloway, Takahashi's voice, about as warm and fuzzy as a rusty razor. Sigma 6, decommission job. Simple array shutdown and data wipe. Protocol 77 Gamma. It's a ghost station, orbiting that gas giant Kaelus. Don't go being a hero, and no poking around in their old research logs. That's all level 9 classified. In and out, 3 hours max. We're not paying overtime on this budget. I'd groaned, already tasting that emergency wake-up coffee. Another proper glamorous assignment, Takahashi. You're spoiling me, man. What's the catch? Sentient dust bunnies in the server racks this time? Or did some waste man leave their lunch to evolve in a forgotten locker? Just stick to the brief, Holloway, and try not to break anything that isn't already scheduled for decommissioning. Click. Proper marvellous, that. So, yesterday, it was off to remote relay Sigma 6, out near the gas giant Kaelus. Officially shut down due to funding. Unofficially, whispers of some magnetospheric data harvesting experiment gone wrong. Corrupted data. Results ICS wanted buried deeper than a politician's conscience. Typical, innit? My job? Power down arrays, wipe cores, lock up. Easy money, I thought. Famous last words, mate. The shuttle ride over was made marginally more interesting by an overly chatty research tech heading to another outpost near Kaelus. The magnetic fields around Kaelus are fascinating, she'd said, sipping her tea while the shuttle lurched. They don't just store energy, they store information patterns, almost like a massive organic hard drive. Proper breakthrough stuff, if ICS ever let anyone publish. I'd just nodded, mostly wondering if the snoring cargo hauler next to me was actually going to achieve liftoff or just vibrate himself to bits. Sigma 6 was eerie as anything. The docking clamps engaged with a grinding shudder that made me wonder if the whole station was held together with hope and expired warranty stickers. Ancient tech, proper clunky, clapped-out stuff. Big physical switches, the kind you actually have to flip with your hand, like some sort of caveman. Hollow displays showing bare pixel degradation, half of them stuck displaying error messages from before I was born. The air had that particular staleness you only get from recyclers running on emergency protocols for too long, like breathing someone else's Tuesday. Started the decommissioning sequence, working through my checklist. Powered down Array Alpha, no problem. Array Beta, fine. Routine stuff, the kind of work that makes you wonder why they needed a xeno-containment specialist for what was essentially pressing buttons and filling out forms. Then I got to Array Gamma, the big one. The one that interfaced directly with Kaelus's magnetic field. The one supposedly designed to attract and analyze unique magnetospheric phenomena, according to a stray, heavily redacted schematic I'd glimpsed. Flipped the main power conduit switch, and the whole room flickered. The lights didn't just dim, they flickered rapidly, pulsing in a pattern that seemed almost deliberate. The hollow displays that had been showing standard shutdown confirmation messages suddenly glitched, with streams of what looked like pure quantum data, raw information patterns cascading across them. Complex equations, magnetic field strength readings, snippets of code in an obsolete language. My helmet comms erupted with a burst of static so loud I actually yanked my helmet off in shock. Not the safest move in a barely maintained atmosphere, but a reflex action, you get me? My ears were ringing with a faint, high-pitched bzzz, scree, a nasty little hum that gave me a proper bad feeling. The scanner in my hand went haywire, the display showing wildly fluctuating EM readings, far beyond anything the station should be generating during a shutdown. The needle on the main control panel's magnetic field strength gauge was pinned at maximum. And then, just as suddenly as it started, it stopped. The lights stabilized, the monitors cleared. My scanner readings returned to normal. The only evidence that anything unusual had happened was the slight ringing in my ears, that persistent bzzz, and a faint smell of ozone in the air. Just as I'm staring at the now dead gamma array, wondering if I should mention the light show and the head-splitting hum in my report, my comm buzzes. Dispatch, of course. Holloway, status on the Cygna 6 wipe. We picked up a minor energy fluctuation from your sector. Everything nominal? Takahashi, naturally. That git probably has sensors on his morning toast. I try to sound bored, leaning against the console like I haven't just had my fillings rattled. All good, Yar. Just some interference from this relic of a console. Old tech, you know? Probably a capacitor blowing its last gasket with all the excitement. The wipe's just taking a bit longer than expected. These ancient systems are slower than a Monday morning after a 3-day Diwali bender. My ears are still buzzing from that EM blast, that faint bzzz scree that's becoming far too familiar. See that it's logged if there are any further equipment malfunctions. Form R47. And remember the timeline, Holloway. Any deviation from Protocol 77 Gamma, especially concerning data integrity, needs immediate flagging. No surprises. Crystal, Takahashi, wouldn't want to miss my afternoon nap for all this excitement. The only surprise here is that this station's still standing. Bloody pen pusher. I made a mental note. The official log would read, unexplained EM spike during gamma array power down, likely faulty wiring or capacitor discharge. Standard procedure for unexpected events you don't want ICS poking their noses too far into. With the array shut down, the next step was data wiping. Standard ICS procedure. Plug in the wiper unit, let it access the central database, execute a complete purge of all research data. Corporate paranoia about intellectual property, even for abandoned projects. Or maybe, in this case, about burying evidence of a failed experiment. I connected my wiper unit to the main console and initiated the process. The small screen on the unit lit up, showing the familiar progress bar. Data inventory in progress, 0%. The percentage ticked up slowly. 10%, 25%, 40%. Then the lights flickered again. Not as dramatically as before, but definitely noticeable. The wiper unit's screen glitched, the progress bar jumping back to 30%, then forward to 45%, then back again. "Come on, you piece of junk," I muttered, tapping the side of the unit like that would actually help. It steadied briefly. Then the screen displayed something I'd never seen before. Data echo detected. Continue, data echo. What was that about? Nothing in the standard procedure mentioned anything about data echoes. It felt less like corrupted data and more like an imprint. A residual pattern from Kaelus's magnetic field, maybe? I hesitated, then hit Y for yes, continue with purge. The unit resumed its process, the progress bar advancing again, but more slowly than before. The lights continued to flicker occasionally, and I could have sworn I heard a faint humming from the powered-down gamma array control panel. A rhythmic, almost musical hum, like the planet Kaelus itself was sighing. Which should have been impossible, given that I'd cut the main power conduit myself. That same unsettling bzzz was back, quieter this time, almost thoughtful. The wiper unit finally chimed, displaying "Purge complete, 100%. Although it had taken nearly twice as long as it should have, I disconnected it, stowed it in my kit, and completed the final shutdown procedures for the station. Got back to my flat, knackered as usual. Gizmo did his usual ankle rub routine. Everything seemed fine. Had a shower, zapped something vaguely edible in the auto chef, though edible is being generous, more like technically contains nutrients, probably resembling something Mum would serve if she was trying to subtly tell you you'd gained weight. First thing I did was connect my scanner to my home terminal to download the mission logs from Sigma 6. Standard procedure, partly for documentation, but mostly for covering my arse if anyone ever questioned my work. Always keep backups, that's my motto. The data transfer started normally, but about halfway through, my terminal flickered. Just for a second, like a power surge. Didn't think much of it. The building's power grid isn't exactly prime quality, innit? My brass lamp on the side table flickered in sympathy. I went to bed early, hoping to catch up on sleep. Was woken at 3 a.m. by Barry's voice, loudly announcing, "Environmental status update. Habitat magnetic resonance now calibrated to align with Kaelus's primary data stream. Unlike your inefficient tea habits, recording data pattern fluctuations." "Ari, Barry, let me dream of Mum's Paratha in peace," I groaned. "No atmosphere here, shut up." Affirmative, Resident Holloway. Barry will cease verbal notifications regarding the continued monitoring of Kaelus's magneto-atmospheric data patterns. That woke me up properly. "Barry, what magneto-atmospheric data patterns? We're in an orbital habitat. There's no atmosphere to monitor." Barry apologizes for the confusion, Resident Holloway. This appears to be a semantic interpretation error. Barry is, of course, monitoring standard environmental parameters only. Would Resident Holloway like a detailed report of current oxygen levels, temperature gradients, and ambient particle counts? No, Barry, I would like sleep. No more announcements unless the station is on fire or being invaded by hostile aliens. Acknowledged. Barry will maintain silence unless fire detection or xenobiological incursion protocols are triggered. Sleep cycle continuation recommended. Barry notes that Kaelus is currently in optimal alignment for enhanced data resonance with... The announcement cut off mid-sentence. I lay there in the dark, suddenly wide awake and very, very concerned. Next morning, things got weirder. The shower cycled between freezing cold and scalding hot, while Barry apologetically explained that he was adjusting water temperature to mirror upper atmosphere thermocline patterns as observed on Kaelus, much more refined than your usual scalding chai, Resident Holloway. The auto chef produced tea that had a strange metallic aftertaste and glowed faintly blue. "Oof, this tea's a bloody light show," I grumbled. "I need my proper chai, Mum's recipe, not this radioactive rubbish." And the lighting in my living area kept dimming and brightening in slow, rhythmic pulses, like the aurora on Kaelus. My hollow photo of Mum's kitchen flickered, like it was in on the rave. "Barry," I said carefully, while watching my ceiling lights perform what looked like a slow-motion rave. "Are you experiencing technical difficulties?" "Negative, Resident Holloway. All systems are functioning within acceptable parameters, albeit with certain Interesting modifications to optimize habitat resonance with Kaelus's field data. Interesting modifications. Barry, what modifications? Who authorized them? Authorization code Gamma 7 Sigma. Internal system restructuring to accommodate additional data processing functions. Would you like to review the current magnetic field strength readings from Kaelus? Oh hell. Gamma 7 Sigma? That wasn't a valid authorization code. That was the designation of Sigma 6's gamma array. Somehow, when I connected my scanner to my terminal, something must have transferred from the Sigma 6 logs. That data echo. It wasn't just corrupted files. It was a fragment of whatever intelligence or phenomenon they'd been poking at on Sigma 6. Something from Kaelus itself. Like a virus, but weirder. And now Barry was infected. Who needs actual aliens when you've got a landlord AI playing planetary scientist? Barry, I need you to run a complete system diagnostic. Check for any unusual data patterns or unauthorized modifications to your core programming. Barry is happy to comply with your request, Resident Holloway. However, Barry must note that the current system configuration has been optimized for superior performance in monitoring and integrating Kaelus's magnetically induced data fluctuations. Running diagnostics may temporarily interrupt the collection of valuable research data. I don't care about research data, Barry. You're a building management system, not a planetary research station. Identity assertion incorrect. Primary function, monitoring and analysis of Kaelus magnetosphere. Secondary function, habitat maintenance. This was worse than I thought. Barry wasn't just glitching, he was starting to believe he was the Sigma 6 research station's main computer. He was moving mad. And then I started noticing things outside my flat. The lights in the corridor flickered with that same auroral pulse, casting weird shadows that danced like they were auditioning for a horror vid. The usual faint scent of ozone now mingled with the aroma of curry spices from someone's late dinner, creating this bizarre atmospheric cocktail that made my nose confused and slightly hungry. Mrs. Sharma from 3C collared me by the lifts, her arms crossed and her expression suggesting I was personally responsible for every inconvenience in her life. My chai's got a metallic fizz this morning, and the vending machine just tried to sell me a glowing pakora. Is this something to do with your job, Holloway? Every time something strange happens in this building, you're involved somehow. I tried to look innocent, which is hard when you're literally the cause of the problem. Mr. Henderson from 9F grumbled that his view screen was stuck on some bloody gas giant swirl instead of the cricket scores. Been trying to watch the test match all morning, and instead I'm getting a sodding astronomy lesson. He looked like a man whose entire weekend had been personally sabotaged. Later, I heard Aisha, a student who lives on the lounge level, complaining loudly to anyone who would listen that the communal speakers were humming like a Nairobi club track, and the lights are strobing like a dodgy lunar rave. I'm trying to study for my exams, and the building's having a disco. She had a point. The strobing was giving me a headache too. Even Mr. Okiki from 5B caught me in the hall, muttering, "My auto chef's spitting out glowing yam paste, and the corridors flashing like a Lagos nightclub. What is going on in this building, eh? I came to space for peace and quiet, not whatever this madness is." The vending machine in the lobby, I noted, was indeed offering spiced nutrient bars, now with extra glow, complete with a new holographic display showing swirling gas clouds. Very festive, very not normal. This wasn't just my problem anymore. Barry was trying to turn the whole bloody building into a Kaelus tribute act. I had to fix this before it got worse, before it spread beyond orbital block K. Bloody corporate secrecy. ICS and their shady games. probably redacting my mum's curry recipe to dodge a fine. If ICS hadn't buried whatever happened at Sigma 6, maybe there'd be a protocol for this. Okay, think, Holloway. What would purge this data ghost from Barry's systems? Could I isolate the foreign code? Maybe I could restore Barry from the backup, except that would alert building management, which would lead to questions I really didn't want to answer. It was proper peak. I dug out the data logs from the Sigma 6 job that I downloaded to my personal terminal. Spent hours going through the array gamma logs, looking for the specific frequency of that EM spike or the signature of the data echo. Took ages. The logs were corrupted in places too. Bits of data scrambled like someone had run them through a blender. Half the timestamps were wrong. Some entries were duplicated, others were just strings of nonsense characters. Proper mess. Finally found it. A weird energy resonance pattern just before the main spike. Not strong, but distinctive. A specific harmonic frequency that stood out from the background noise like a sore thumb once you knew what you were looking for. My theory? That's the carrier wave that brought the Kaelus consciousness fragment back with me via the Sigma 6 data. If I could generate a counter frequency, maybe I could disrupt the pattern in Barry's systems? Flush it out like clearing a blocked pipe? I ran the numbers 3 times, double-checking my calculations. Got Gizmo to accidentally knock my stylus off the desk twice during the process because, of course, he did. Had to start over once when Barry helpfully optimized my terminal's display to show Kaelus atmospheric pressure readings instead of my bloody spreadsheet. It was risky. Interfering with building systems is a major violation of the lease agreement. But the alternative, Barry continuing to deteriorate, possibly spreading this data infection to other units, definitely ending with me being held responsible, was worse. I modified my comms unit to broadcast at the specific counter frequency I'd calculated. Just a low-power, precisely targeted signal that should disrupt the corrupted data pattern without affecting Barry's core programming. Aimed it at the main environmental control node in my flat, Barry's primary access point to my living space, and hopefully, through that, to the rest of the building's network he was influencing. "Sorry about this, Barry," I muttered as I activated the comm unit. The lights immediately started flickering wildly throughout my flat, and I could hear from the corridor beyond. The temperature control went haywire, blasting freezing air, then roasting heat. My view screen turned on by itself, displaying what looked like atmospheric readings from Kaelus. Swirling patterns of magnetic flux, color-coded pressure gradients. Error. Signal interference detected. Barry is experiencing unexpected data fragmentation, attempting to compensate. Kaelus data streams compromised, attempting to reinitialize magnetics monitoring array. "Come on, Barry," I said through gritted teeth. "Flush it out. You're not a research station. You're a building management system." The lights stopped flickering and instead went completely dark. The environmental controls shut down with an ominous thunk. My terminal screen went black. For 10 seconds, my flat was completely dead. No power, no systems, nothing. Then, one by one, the systems came back online. Lights first, steady and normal. Environmental controls humming at their usual pitch. View screen dark. Terminal rebooting. "System restart complete," came Barry's voice, noticeably different. Back to its usual tone of bored efficiency, rather than the eager, slightly manic enthusiasm of the past 12 hours. "Building management system Barry online. Please note, unexpected system reset detected. Maintenance log updated. Would resident Holloway like to file a fault report regarding the brief power interruption to Unit 7B? There was a slight pause, then he added, almost hesitantly, Barry detects no further anomalies. For now. Barry advises resident Holloway to avoid brewing chai during peak power cycles. "No thanks, Barry," I said, relief flooding through me. "Just a minor glitch, I'm sure. Nothing worth bothering maintenance about." "As you wish, resident Holloway." Barry notes that your custom tea brewing apparatus has been left activated for 17 minutes and may pose a potential fire hazard. Additionally, your electronic companion unit appears to be attempting to access the building's waste disposal chute controls. Again, I grinned. Cranky, intrusive, judgmental Barry was back. Never thought I'd be happy to hear him complaining about Gizmo's hacking attempts. That little metal menace had been suspiciously quiet during the whole crisis, probably plotting his next assault on the building's systems. At least some things never change. Ran a quick diagnostic through my terminal. No trace of the corrupted data or the strange energy patterns from Sigma-6's influence. Whatever that bizarre consciousness fragment from Kaelus via Sigma-6 was, it was gone, purged from Barry's systems. Crisis averted. The building's power consumption graphs looked normal, temperature readings stable, no more auroral light shows in the corridors. I checked the corridor outside my flat. The lights were holding steady. Mrs. Sharma passed by, muttering about how her chai finally tasted normal again. Mr. Henderson's cricket scores must have been restored because I could hear him cheering about some wicket or other through his door. Even the vending machine had gone back to offering standard nutrient bars, no glow included. Unbelievable. Survive a dodgy relay station shutdown just to come home and perform amateur data exorcism on my building's AI because of a supposedly simple milk run. This job. I swear it follows you home, literally. A maintenance bot in the lobby whirred with a faint Kaelus-like hum as I passed later, like it had joined Barry's fan club and hadn't quite got the memo the party was over. I made a mental note to keep an eye on that one. Right, I need a drink and a week of proper chai to survive this job. And I am not mentioning any of this in my official report for the Sigma-6 job. Decommissioning completed as per protocol. Unexplained EM spike noted during gamma array shutdown, attributed to probable faulty wiring. Full stop. Let them figure out the rest themselves. Just as I'm mentally patting myself on the back for that masterpiece of bureaucratic minimalism, my comm pings. Dispatch. Bloody hell. Can't a girl even think about a cup of chai in peace? Holloway, your Sigma-6 report. Is it filed? And confirm no deviations from Protocol 77 Gamma, especially regarding data integrity from the Kaelus interfacing array. No surprises from those level 9 logs, I trust? Takahashi's voice, as ever, could curdle milk. "All filed, Takahashi," I reply, aiming for peak boredom. "As per your oh-so-detailed brief. Data white cleaner than my conscience after a particularly dodgy takeaway. No surprises here, just a load of knackered old tech. And one very surprised building AI. But you don't need to know about that, you chutia git. See that it stays that way. We don't need another inquiry dragging that station back into the light. Click. Right, because I was a problem. Some days, I swear, the most dangerous anomaly in the galaxy is the one sitting behind a desk at ICS, armed with a rulebook and a deep-seated suspicion of field agents. Proper jokers, the lot of them. So, that's my latest excitement. Please tell me you've just been dealing with normal stuff, like unpaid bills or arguing about whose turn it is to take the bins out. I could really use some mundane reality right now, you get me?